Namaste and welcome. My name is Thomas, and this is an astrology video for Lighthouse Yoga. And we are looking at a beautiful and very detailed wheel. And this circle of the zodiac is filled with all kinds of information that we're going to look at today. So many of you who might be coming to this information somewhat for the first time maybe have seen the birth chart set out in a wheel, and this is classically set up where you have Aries over here on the left hand side, and we begin this movement counterclockwise, or wider shins, and anti-clockwise sometimes people say, but we move from Aries down to Taurus, down to Gemini, through Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, and then we reach the horizon in the west, going up air with Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and then on to Pisces. So what this video is going to primarily be about is looking at the various elements, the four elements, and the three states, or the cardinal, fixed, and mutable states, as well as, of course, the masculine and the feminine. So let's actually start there and come into the very center of the circle, and you'll see that these pie slices here, from Aries with a plus, and then Taurus with a minus, and so on, plus minus, all the way around. You have the plus designating the masculine and the minus symbol designating the feminine. And it's always really important to remember that everybody has both of these qualities, and these are energetic qualities rather than the actual physical form of the body. So everybody has Aries, everybody has Taurus, everybody has Scorpio, everybody has Sagittarius, just like everybody has Mars, which is typically associated with the masculine, and Venus we associate with the feminine. And you have right there Aries and Taurus, those two signs that Mars rules Aries and Venus rules Taurus. So you've got this consistency. So the plus minus, the signs simply alternate masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. One of the other aspects that you want to get used to seeing is what's happening in the sign across. So Aries is across from Libra. So we look at these two cardinal signs of Aries and Libra, and we see that they are both masculine. Likewise, when you look across from Cancer to Capricorn, they are both feminine, right? The other two cardinal signs. And the reason for this is that then you have that balance from one side. You have the masculine axis of the cardinal cross, and then you have the feminine axis of the cardinal cross. And this is something that will make sense as we go along, that you have a cardinal cross, a fixed cross, and a mutable cross. So this is a good transition as we go along into the next sign, which is Taurus, right? We have the fixed cross of Taurus and Scorpio, right? And of course, that's the feminine axis, where you have Earth being the feminine and the water being the feminine. And then you have the fixed axis, the masculine axis of Aquarius and Leo, right? Where Leo is fire, and masculine air for Aquarius. And that, again, that's the fixed cross. And then we could go to the mutable cross, which we have the Gemini Sagittarius axis and the Virgo and Pisces axis. Pisces being the mutable waters and Virgo being the mutable earth. Again, that's the feminine axis. You're always going to have that feminine axis opposite water and earth. Likewise, the masculine axis is going to be your air and your fire axis. So what does that mean? What do the cardinal signs, the fixed signs, and the mutable signs have to say for themselves? So the cardinal sign, the cardinal is what we would say is the most high sign. It is the initiation. Likewise, Aries, you can see, is a really good example of cardinal, because it's the first sign of the zodiac. And as we go through these cardinal signs, right, we see that they begin each section. So the next cardinal is cardinal water, and then you have cardinal air, right? They begin the four corners, right? The four quadrants, we could say, of the zodiac. So those cardinal signs are known for the initiation, the willpower to get up and go, right? The putting into action, and also we would say this is the grand master stage um, uh, of our sort of initiation into the mysteries, or we could say the grand master stage is the best teacher, the most and most well respected teacher. Not to get too pop culture on you, but I always think of Dumbledore as a grand master type of wizard, right? Where able to see everything. So you can think of Dumbledore and your cardinal signs. All right, the fixed signs, right, are very, very stable, and Taurus is sort of the best and most often cited example of what a fixed sign is and can be. And you have fixed Earth, and Earth is already very stable, and then when you apply the fixed designation to the Earth, you have doubly stable, so stubborn like an ox, right? And that's a good phrase for the fixed signs. The fixed water opposite Taurus, right, fixed Scorpio, is going to be something that is a stable force. It is something that is immovable. And if you know, Scorpio represents transitions and death. And we have this saying that the only constant is change, right? We go through these phases, we go through these changes, and Scorpio is necessary, right? So we can think about that as an aspect of things that are fixed. Always in the middle there, or the middle of the process. What else can we say about the fixed signs, right? Reliable, again, sometimes stubborn like an ox, but once you put that bull in motion, it's going to plow the field, and it won't stop until you tell it to. Maybe even sometimes, like I said, stubborn and will continue even after the job is done. So you know, these yin and yang, again, the positive and negative axes of the fixed cross. So again, we have Aquarius and Leo, right? Leo is boisterous, right? Whereas Aquarius, inevitable. Right? All right, so let's go on to the mutable here. The mutable is changeable. The mutable is malleable, right? The mutable is fickle, right? The mutable is interested. The mutable is diverse, right? So the mutable is something that is going to show you all these different possibilities. So the masculine axis of the mutable cross is is Gemini and Sagittarius, where you have the masculine air and fire, and Sagittarius, again, this is sort of the adept stage, where you'd have somebody who's just getting interested in learning about some of these deeper and sometimes hidden aspects of astrology uh, and these greater mysteries. So the masculine axis, where you have Gemini always wanting to communicate, wanting to get into lots of different things, where you have Sagittarius ruling ideology, right? This is something that changes, right? In philosophy, exploring, right? Constantly looking to new territory and new ventures. We look at the feminine axis of the mutable cross, Pisces. Pisces is often associated with psychic abilities, sometimes being off in their own space, or being receptive to other people's energies. Some people say people who are Pisces will be affected by the people they're around. They'll actually mirror or take on the energies of those around them. Difficult to have their own personality or to let that shine through, because they're so receptive with mutable water. You can think of water as a mirror. And then you have the mutable earth, right, which is kind of like maybe mud or quicksand, or this kind of primordial ooze, right? Mutable earth, it can be shaped into pretty much anything that you want, right? And this is consistent with this state of Virgo, right? Sort of untouched and pure, yet not really signifying anything quite yet, not fully formed. So this is the mutable axis, right? So the cardinal again is the grand master, the fixed is the master, and the mutable is the adept, or the newly initiated. And this is a little bit more off topic, but it's important to understand that if you are a Gemini, you are on the mutable cross. You're here to learn. You're here to understand new things, to potentially make great strides in your evolution in this lifetime. If your sun is in the fixed signs, you are here to hold it down. You're here to sort of hold the frequency, maintain the the energies for hopefully for good. But we'll leave that conversation to another time. And then the cardinal cross. If you're in the cardinal cross, you're here to teach. You're here to educate, and it's really important that you can recognize those different aspects of your mission here as we go along. All right, so again, we'll continue to initiate here with Aries, and Aries with fire, and then as we go along, earth, air, and water. And we have 4 elements, and these classic 4 elements, some people have different ideas about the order in which they are supposed to go. And I think this kind of settles the debate for me. I will usually use this fire, earth, air, and water if I'm going to refer to the elements, simply because that's the way it's set up in the zodiac. And I think that that makes the most sense, right? To use the natural markers and the natural boundaries so that we can look at fire, earth, air, and water as really being these base elements and the foundational elements. So the fire is the spirit, right? The fire is your intuition. The fire is the chi and the prana, right? Fire is your essence, and is what comes down. And again, its inspiration comes up as a flash of insight, and all of that's associated with fire. And we all have all 4 elements. Again, we all have cardinal, fixed, and mutable. We all have fire, earth, air, and water. We all have masculine and feminine. We all have all the planets. So it's important that we remember that from time to time, because sometimes we can get caught in thinking one thing is going to define us, or one thing is going to explain what's going on. And it's important that we're always looking holistically. Understanding the whole circle. So as we go along from fire to earth, earth again, feminine sign, and the earth is the earth. It's all the material creations. It's money. It's the way that we set our home and put our home together. Right. It's our surroundings. It's also our physical body. So if fire is the spirit, earth is the body, and we can understand things really, really beautifully that way. Right? So again, earth is going to take care of essentially anything material, even if it's man-made. Your cell phone, the computer that you might be using to watch this, whatever, that's all in the realm of the earth element. The next element we have, of course, is air with Gemini. And again, each of the elements repeats 3 times. So you have the air of Gemini, the air of Libra, and the air of Aquarius. And again, you'll have mutable, cardinal, and fixed. So air and cardinal is only one cardinal air. There's only one fixed air, and there's only one mutable air. And that goes for all three attributes, as well as all 4 signs. So, all 4 elements, So, mutable air. Air is your mind. And that's true whether it's cardinal air or fixed air or mutable air. Air is the mind, air is the mental capacity. I always like to reference the swords when I think about the air element. This in the tarot, this suit of swords is representing the air. And if you are very familiar with the tarot, the card for Libra is the Justice card, and you'll notice that that Justice card holds in one hand the scales, and in the other hand the sword, and that sword is representative of that air quality, right? And air, or excuse me, the sword, cuts both ways, double-edged sword. We have all these kinds of sayings, right? The sword is definite. It comes down and it cuts the wheat from the chaff. It divides, right? It chooses. So that's just exactly what the mind does, right? Is it makes those choices, and then you can see how it's represented again as mutable, as cardinal, or as fixed. These are all elements of ways you can continue to interpret the signs. So finally the water element, here we have in Cancer, in this case it's cardinal water, and of course then you have fixed water of Scorpio and the mutable water of Pisces. And the water is representing the emotions. So see how beautifully it works, right? Fire, earth, air, and water. You have spirit, body, mind, and emotions, right? And these four make up essentially our four states, right? So the water again is the emotions, the the movement, right? We say that the moon moves the tides. We come from the water, right? This is kind of our home. And a lot of times people will associate Cancer with the home, right? With being at home, taking care of the home, who's at home, and all the rest of that. So this is our primordial home, right, with the water element in terms of Cancer. And again, where we go to is the fixed waters, and where we are heading is, or excuse me, and where we are actually in right now are the mutable waters of Pisces, but the water element representing those emotions. So just for brief review, from the inside of the circle, the plus and the minus, representing the masculine and the feminine. It has nothing to do with positive or negative, although you could think of those as positive and negative electrical charges. But really, that language is distorted even in the scientific sense. These are polarizing forces, right? When you have energy moving in one direction, there's a balancing force moving in the other direction and keeping everything stable and still. Then when we move out to the cardinal, fixed, and mutable, the three main phases of matter, right? I think about the three phases of water, ice, and steam. Those kind of three different ways to express the one element, right? So cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Cardinal being the Grand Master, the great teacher. Fixed sign being the master, right? The one who maintains and stores. Maybe you could think of a librarian, maybe, or somebody in charge of keeping the books at a bank or something like that. The mutable signs are all going to affect change, are going to create movement and give you something new, or simply move from place to place. Then we have the four elements: fire, spirit; earth, body; air, mind; and water are the emotions. All right, so that's the main lesson for today, and I would love it if you have any questions, if you have any curiosities. I'm very happy to make more videos. If you have things you'd like to know or things that you'd like to discuss, I certainly don't don't sit here and attempt to know everything. I'm still learning, but the more I learn, the more I want to share, and the more I share, the more I learn. So it's a beautiful complementary circle. I really appreciate you watching. If you got anything from this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, got lots of yoga videos, and I will see you next time. Namaste.